welcome back to Miss Bree Reads. I'm Miss Bree, and this week we have a new story. The author writes the story, the illustrator draws the picture. We got the front, we got the back, we got the spine. The title of the story is The Little Regenerative Farmer, written by Lauren Lovejoy, illustrated by Yana Gorbatiuk. The Little Regenerative Farmer, written by Lauren Lovejoy, illustrated by Yana Gorbatiuk. Once there was a little girl named Lena. Lena was your average little girl. She loved animals, playing outside, and her friends and family. One day, her mom and dad took her to a farm near their home. Lena loved the animals. "Mom, Dad, I want to have a farm," she said. "Oh, Lena, that's wonderful, but farms are a lot of work," her mom said. They left the farm and went home. Lena thought and thought about what her parents said. At dinner, she repeated, "Mom, Dad, I really want a farm." They smiled to each other and reassured her. It was a lot of work, and the subject again passed. The next morning, Lena had found a book in her collection about chickens and brought it to her parents. Same request. "Mom, Dad, I really want to have a farm with chickens." After a few weeks, her mom and dad finally caved and bought her a few chickens and a little coop. Lena was overjoyed. Every day she would make sure the chickens had fresh water and food. She talked to them, told them about her day, and made sure they had everything they needed. A few weeks later, Lena came running up to her mom and dad with a book. "Mom, Dad, this farmer says you're supposed to move your chickens." "What do you mean, move the chickens?" they asked. "It says they need fresh grass." "Well, sweetie, I don't think they really do," they responded. "But I want them to be happier," she said. After a few weeks, Lena's persistence paid off, and with her parents' help, put some wheels on her chicken's coop. Every day she moved the coop to a new patch of grass for the chickens to eat. Her parents were happy to see that through her daughter's efforts, they were spending less money on chicken food and the eggs tasted better. But the grass was growing and growing, and the neighbors began to talk and complain. One day they sat Lena down to talk to her about how they needed to cut the grass because the neighbors didn't like it. "Did you tell them that it's for my chickens?" she asked. "Yes, but they like short grass," they said. "Why?" Lena asked. "I'm not sure, but that's just the way things are," her parents said. Lena sat frustrated as the next day her parents mowed down a large part of the yard. She couldn't understand why it bothered other people. She thought about it all night, and the next morning she popped up early and headed for the chicken coop. She grabbed some eggs from her chickens and headed over to her neighbor's house, walked briskly up to their front door and knocked. As they come to the door, she said, "Excuse me, I'm sorry to bother you, but my mom and dad said my grass was bothering you, and I wanted to give you some eggs. My chickens make them, and they are delicious." The neighbors accepted and thanked her for sharing her eggs with them. "Can I show you my chickens?" she asked. They awkwardly agreed as they really had no interest, but how could you say no to such an earnest face? Lena proudly trotted them back to her home and backyard and told them all about her chickens and how she moved them every day and how much they liked it and how it made the grass grow tall. The neighbors were impressed with this little girl's initiative and apologized to her parents that they had complained. They even offered to buy some of Lena's eggs once a week. Lena was delighted. Next spring, Lena was excited to start planting a little garden. in a spot where the chickens had been eating. Lena took little seeds and placed them gently in the ground. Every day she waited, and soon little sprouts appeared. As time went on, Lena grew more and more things. She planted seeds to shade her chickens. She learned to plant flowers beside plants to keep away pests. With her chickens' help and care, her garden began to thrive. Soon was sharing her food with the whole neighborhood. Wow. One day, a surprise big storm came. The winds howled and the rain came down in sheets all through the day and into the night. The next day when she woke up, all of her plants were fallen over and soaked from the storm. She sat on the stoop with her chicken, dismayed at all her hard work undone. Her parents watched, disheartened for their daughter. As Lena, frustrated, got up off the step and started to work on her garden again, her parents snuck off to the neighbors to let them know what happened. Within an hour, all the neighbors came to Lena's house to help her rebuild her garden. Lena was delighted at all the help, and with a few hours of everyone's help, what could be salvaged had been, and new seeds had been planted. In the next few weeks, her garden grew back even stronger and with more food than before. She went door to door, sharing the abundance of food with all her neighbors. At the end of one of these trips, she sat on the stoop looking out over her garden and chickens. Her mom and dad came to sit down beside her. "You had a pretty big day, Lena. Did you enjoy it?" they asked. "I did very much," she said. "Well, you got your garden back. Your chickens are happy. What are you going to do next?" they asked. "I'm going to feed the world," she said as she squeezed her chicken tight in a hug. The end. And that's the end of our story, my little bookworms. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. My favorite part of this story is the chickens. They are so cute. Remember, reading is a magical adventure that can take you anywhere you want to go. So keep reading and exploring new worlds. Until next time, farewell, my friends. Subscribe and like. Comment what book you'd like to hear next.
Miss Bree reads! Miss Bree reads! Miss Bree reads!
Stay curious and spread the joy.